sad, sad day. Since my baby, she went away. Oh, sad, sad day. Since my baby, she went away. How long she been cheating? I just found it out yesterday.
Alright, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and double honors to our elders at Great Millstone. Alright, right now I'm at this site called, the name of the site is blackgenocide.org. Alright, because since we came here in slavery, we've been under attack by the so-called white man. Alright, although now he so-called tries to hide the fact that he has a undying hatred for you niggas. Alright, and that he's all for the destruction of our people, meaning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American. Alright, right here you have a quote on this article which says, "The most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb." And I know brothers probably remember a couple years ago, I think it was downtown Manhattan, you had a picture of a black woman, a pregnant black woman, with this same quote, and the so-called black community was outraged. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, they was all outraged, but it's the truth. All right, we're gonna get into this article, all right, and a couple of other articles, which proves that you, first and foremost, you black women, y'all have the highest rate of abortions. And it's by design, all right? Because we gonna continue to be under attack by the so-called white man until the Most High comes and delivers us from his hand. So the name of the article is Planned Parenthood. Once again, it's from blackgenocide.org. All right, and the person who said that quote was Pastor Clinard Childress Jr. All right, Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in America. 78% of their clinics are in minority communities. Right? When it says minority, it's talking about you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and the word minority means basically comes to the word minute, which means insignificant. And that's how the so-called white man view our people. They view you like you ain't shit. But the scripture says that the white man ain't shit and these other nations ain't shit. But you niggas continue to accept the abuse that the so-called white man puts on you, man, and y'all willingly kill your children, all right, to further his agenda. Blacks make up 12% of the population, but 35% of the abortions in America. So you black women, y'all the leading face of Planned Parenthood, all right. Y'all have the #1 abortions in America, and probably throughout the whole entire planet, all right. Because #1, y'all a bunch of sluts. And y'all refuse to keep your legs closed. Y'all want to have sex with a whole bunch of different men and refuse to accept the responsibility of getting pounded out by or gangbang by a group of niggas, which is having a baby, and you run to the quickest exit, all right, to avoid your responsibility and go to the so-called white man and have a fucking abortion, all right. And the Most High is against abortion because you taking a life that the Most High created, all right. He put the spirit in that body. But you decided that you took it into your own hand, all right, to abort that baby, and the Most High is gonna kill you for that. Are we being targeted? Of course we're being targeted. We've been targeted since we came here in slavery, all right. Isn't that genocide? We are the only minority in America that is on a decline in population. If the current trend continues by 2038, which America ain't going to no 2038. The black vote will be insignificant. Your fucking vote ain't significant right now. So let alone in 2038. Did you know that the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, was a devout racist who created the Negro Project designed to sterilize unknowing black women and others she deemed as undesirables of society. Who's the ones deemed as undesirables? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, but we're the backbones of the society. We're the driving force of the society that makes this whole place continue to be on level ground. All right, because if every Israelite pulled away from the society, you'll see how quick this place will fall on its face. But you niggas, y'all the one upholding the society and keeping this shit going. But they refer to you as undesirables of society. But the devil, alright, a damn child molested by nature, a bunch of faggots and lesbians, is gonna call God's people undesirable. The founder of Planned Parenthood said colored people are like human weeds and are to be exterminated. Is her vision being fulfilled today? Alright, so we're gonna get this article in Wikipedia of this cracker bitch, Margaret Sanger. Alright, here's a picture of her, Margaret Sanger. Alright, so we're gonna read a little bit about her. Margaret Higgins Sanger, September 14th, 1879, September 6, 1966, was an American birth control activist, sex educator, and nurse. Sanger popularized the term birth control, opened the first birth control clinic in the United States, and established organizations that evolved into the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Sanger's efforts contributed to several judicial cases that helped legalize contraception in the United States. Sanger is a frequent target of criticism by opponents of birth control and has also been criticized for supporting eugenics, but remains an iconic figure in the American reproductive rights movement. Alright? When you go into the scriptures, what did the Lord say? The Lord said to be fruitful and to multiply. So the Lord ain't with no goddamn birth control, alright? In 1916, Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States, which led to her arrest distributing information on contraception. Her subsequent trial and appeal generated enormous support for her cause. Sanger felt that in order for women to have a more equal footing in society and to lead healthier lives, they needed to be able to determine when to bear children. She also wanted to prevent unsafe abortions, so-called back alley abortions, which were common at the time because abortions were usually illegal. In 1921, Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, which later became the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. In New York City, she organized the first birth control clinic staffed by all female doctors, as well as a clinic in Harlem with an entirely African American staff. In 1929, she formed the National Committee of Legislation of Birth Control, which served as the focal point of her lobbying efforts to legalize contraception in the United States. From 1952 to 1959, Sanger served as the president of the International Planned Parenthood Federation. She died in 1966 and is widely regarded as the founder of the modern birth control movement. Alright, scrolling down, we're going to go right here to Planned Parenthood era. Planned Parenthood era. In 1929, Sanger formed the National Committee on Federal Legislation for Birth Control in order to lobby for legislation to overturn restriction on contraception. That effort failed to achieve success, so Sanger ordered a diaphragm from Japan in 1932 in order to provoke a decisive battle in the courts. The diaphragm was confiscated by the United States government, and Sanger's subsequent legal challenge led to a 1936 court decision which overturned an important provision of the Comstock laws which prohibited physicians from obtaining contraceptives. This court victory motivated the American Medical Association in 1937 to adopt contraception as a normal medical service and a key component of medical school curriculums. In 1937, Sanger became chairman. This 1936 contraception court victory was a accumulation of Sanger's birth control efforts, and she took the opportunity now in her late 50s to move to Tucson, Arizona, intending to play a less critical role in the birth control movement in spite of her original intentions. She remained active in the movement through the 1950s. In 1937, Sanger became the chairman of a newly formed Birth Control Council of America and attempted to resolve the schism between the ABCL and the BCCRB. Her efforts were successful, and the two organizations merged in 1939 as the Birth Control Federation of America. Although Sanger continued in the role of president, she no longer wielded the same power as she had in the early years of the movement. In 1942, more conservative forces within the organization changed the name to Planned Parenthood Federation of America, a name Sanger objected to because she considered it too euphemistic. In 1946, Sanger helped found the International Committee of Planned Parenthood, which evolved into the International Planned Parenthood Federation in 1952 and soon became the world's largest non-governmental international family planning organization. Sanger was the organization's first president and served in the role until she was 80 years old, and in the early 50s encouraged philanthropist Catherine McCormick to provide funding for biologist Gregory Pincus to develop the birth control pill. Alright, slow down to eugenics. As part of the efforts to promote birth control, Sanger found common cause with proponents of eugenics, believing that they both sought to assist the race toward the elimination of the unfit. I wonder who's considered the unfit. Would it be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? Sanger was a proponent of negative eugenics, which aims to improve human heredity traits, which the so-called white man is the most physical, inferior race on the planet Earth, and he wants to take it upon himself, alright, to eliminate the inferior race. So he should start off by killing himself. To improve human heredity traits through social interventions by reducing reproduction by those considered unfit. Sanger's eugenic policies included an exclusionary immigration policy, free access to birth control methods, and full family planning autonomy for the able-minded, and compulsory segregation of sterilization for the profoundly retarded. In her book, The Pivot of Civilization, she advocated coercion to prevent the undeniable feeble-minded from procreating. Although Sanger supported negative eugenics, she asserted that eugenics alone was not sufficient and that birth control was essential to achieve her goals. In contrast with eugenicist William Robinson, who advocated euthanasia, which that word means good death for the unfit. So they was trying to give you niggas a good death. Sanger wrote, "We do not believe that the community could or should send the lethal chamber the defective progeny resulting from the irresponsible and unintelligent breeding." Similarly, Sanger denounced the aggressive and lethal Nazi eugenics program. In addition, Sanger believed the responsibility for birth control should remain in the hands of able-minded individual parents rather than the state, and self-determining motherhood was the only unshakable foundation for racial betterment. Sanger also supported restrictive immigration policies and a plan for peace. In 1932 essay, she proposed a congressional department to address population problems. She recommended that the immigration excluded those whose condition is known to be determined to be detrimental to the stamina of the race, and the sterilization and segregation be applied to those with incurable hereditary disabilities. While Sanger did not wholly escape the racist attitudes of her time, she would not tolerate bigotry among her staff, nor any refusal to work within interracial projects. In 1929, James Hugh Herbert, a black social worker and a leader of the New York's Urban League, asked Sanger to open a clinic in Harlem. So you niggas were down with the murder of your own people. Sanger secured funding from the Julius Rosenwald Fund and opened the clinic, staffed with black doctors, in 1930s. The clinic was directed by a 15-member advisory board consisting of the African American doctors, nurses, clergy, journalists, and social workers. The clinic was publicized in the African American press and black churches, and received the approval of W. E. B. Du Bois, founder of the NAACP. Sanger's work with the minorities earned praise from Martin Luther King Jr., which shows you these niggas have no compassion for their people and they want you dead just as much as the white man wants you dead. In his 1966 acceptance speech for the Margaret Sanger Award. All right, that's about. Wait, I'm gonna keep the last paragraph. From 1939 to 1942, Sanger was an honorary delegate of the Birth Control Federation of America, which included a supervisory role alongside with Mary Lasker and Clarence Gamble. In the Negro Project, an effort to deliver birth control to poor blacks, Sanger wanted the Negro Project to include black ministers in leadership roles, but other supervisors did not. To emphasize the benefits of involving black community leaders, she wrote to Gamble, we do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs in any of their more rebellious members. This quote has been cited by Angela Davis to support her claims that Sanger wanted to exterminate black people. However, New York University's Margaret Sanger Papers Project argues that in the writing that the letter Sanger recognized elements within the black community might mistakenly associate the Negro Project with racist sterilization campaigns in the Jim Crow South, unless clergy and other community leaders spread the word that the project had a humanitarian aim. So basically she used niggas to pacify other niggas to accept the killing of their babies. Alright, this ain't nothing new. I got a scripture right here. This is Salakia. This is Exodus. The first chapter and the 8th verse, because all throughout history you always had the other nations who are out to kill our people. And this ain't nothing new. This is Exodus 1 and 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the children of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, When thou do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. And the same thing that applies to the abortions. The main purpose of the abortion is to kill young Israelite men, because the so-called white man knows, alright, that every young Israelite man that's born is a potential threat to his power. Alright, just like Pharaoh knew that there was a prophecy of a deliverer coming, a son that was going to be born in Israel, that was going to deliver Israel. And so that's why he sought to kill all the sons of Israel. But the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the man child alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore the Most High dealt with the midwives. Therefore the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Most High, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Why did he want to kill the sons? Again, because he knew that a deliverer was going to come through the sons of Israel. And that's why this whole abortion, all this eugenics, this Planned Parenthood, is basically to destroy the Israelite man, alright, to keep us from reproducing. Alright, this is another account. This is Matthew's 2 and 7. This is when the Lord was going to be born, and the same thing was about to be born, and the same thing took place. Alright, Herod sent out to kill the young men of Israel. Then Herod, this is Matthew 2 and 7. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring him me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till they came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt. And it was fulfilled, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew of all the children that were in Bethlehem, and all the coasts, therefore from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So this is a scriptural account of our people, alright, our children being attacked by these other nations. Alright, it's the same thing that's going on. That's what this whole Planned Parenthood, this whole eugenics, birth control, abortions, this is what this is all about. Alright, destroying the nation of Israel. Alright. I got one more article. Well, where is this at? While you're waiting for that to load. Alright, I'll just go to the scripture. This is Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So all these people, alright, that are with this Planned Parenthood, alright, and eugenics, and basically the genocide of our people, they're the ones that are preying. They preying on us, man, beginning with the so-called white man. And the scripture said that all the ones that come against us, he's going to destroy. Alright. So the next scripture is Exodus 23 and 22. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thy enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversary. And that's why the so-called white man is in big fucking trouble now. Alright, cause why? Because you have all the camps set up, all the men under the elders of Great Millstone, under Yahweh Shem Yahushai, who are obeying the Lord's voice. So the next thing is that the Lord is going to act, and he's going to defend his people. Alright? And who's our enemy? The so-called white man and all the other nations. So guess what? You're the Most High's enemy. According to the scripture, it says, But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, which we're doing now through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and do all that I speak, then I'll be an enemy unto thy enemies, and an adversary unto thy adversary. So the so-called white man he's not gonna go unpunished for all the wickedness that he's doing to our people. This is Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee, be not dismayed. For I am thy power, I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them, and thou shalt not find them, even them that contended with thee. They that warred against thee, they shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. Who's warring against us? All right, the so-called white man is warring against us, man, in many different ways. By effeminizing the black man, that's part of the war. That's part of his war tactics, man. Abortions, that's part of his war tactics. Turning the woman against the man, all right, making the woman the head of the household and kicking the man out the house. That's all part of his war tactics, man, to destroy our nation. For I, the Lord thy power, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and thou shalt make the hills as chaff. So all these governments and all these lesser governments, the Most High is going to give his chosen men, all right, the elected the nation of Israel, the prophets, the 144,000. He's going to give them the power to get revenge, man. All right, the Most High is going to give us that power. And all you other nations that are in league with the so-called white man, that are down with destroying us as a people, you're going to suffer the same fate as them, man. And you fucking black bitches, you Latin bitches, you Native American bitches that are hand in hand with the so-called white man, all right, that want to hold his damn nuts in your mouth, all right, and follow everything he does because you hate yourself and you hate your people. All right, you're gonna be dealt with too, man. 2/3 of the nation of Israel that follow after the so-called white man, you're gonna suffer the same fate as these damn devils. All right. Well, this article is not coming up. Let's try to pull it up one more time before I close out. Let's see, it's fucking Satan. Oh, here we go. Little minor difficulties. All right, the name. This is from the Washington Times Community. All right, this is gonna be the last article I read before I close out. All right, it's entitled "Black Abortion and Genocide." All right, this is a fairly recent article, 2013, April 29th. In the battle for survival of the black race in America, we must look at the abortion issues as it concerns the black community. It is important when combined with the number of young black men in prison. It figures in along with the number of young black women on public assistance and the level of poverty that the large number of black people find themselves. But before we get into the full-fledged discussion of abortion, it is imperative to first touch on Margaret Sanger, the concept of eugenics, Planned Parenthood, and the so-called black leader. What most black people don't know is that there was a worldwide movement to eliminate inferior races from the planet. They may know something about Adolf Hitler, but they know nothing about Margaret Sanger. Sanger was a leading proponent of the birth control movement in the early 1900s, and that is where most liberals would like you to stop knowing about Sanger, her associates, and her organization. Sanger aligned herself with the eugenics movement. Eugenics is the use of sterilization, immigration restrictions, and even murder, as in Nazi Germany, to eliminate the unfit. The definition of unfit was set by the controlling class. In the eyes of Hitler, it was the Jews or anyone that did not fit the Aryan model. In Singer's eyes, it was children who were developmentally delayed or suffered from an extreme physical deformity. So she also saw unfit as children who may have hereditary issues that might lead to terrible disease. Sanger also deemed children born into poverty as unfit. If Sanger had her way, people like Dr. Ben Carson would not have been born, nor any of the conjoined twins that he saved. There are many Sanger's apologists out there, but Sanger's view of unfit was too broad for most of us today. Sanger, however, was able to raise money to open clinics around the country that promoted birth control as part of her eugenics views. It was a short step to provide abortions to prevent the unfit that might be born into poverty, especially in urban communities. The word abortion sugarcoats the procedure and misleads people. The abortion procedure most often used is a dilation and curettage. The cervix is dilated and the tool called QT scraper is used to scrape the unborn child from the mother's cervix. Once that is done, a vacuum is used to remove the dismembered child. Now that is abortion. Sanger's clinics, now known as Planned Parenthood, performed over 3,000 of those procedures in 2010. Over 10,000 of those procedures were performed on black children. How did so-called black leaders answer the words of Dr. King? The Negro cannot win as long as he is willing to sacrifice the lives of his children for comfort and safety. How can the dream survive if we murder the children? Every aborted baby is like a slave in the womb of his or her mother. The mother decides his or her fate. How is it possible that Congressional Black Caucus does not stand on the floor of the House until genocide of black children ends? Why have we not seen Reverend Jesse Jackson marching down streets in every large city protesting the extermination of black children by the organizations founded by the likes of Margaret Sanger and her associates? Why is Reverend Al Sharpton doing a remote for MSNBC calling Dr. Kemet Gosel and Uncle Tom? Self-hating black man, and any of the terms hurled at me for not voting for President Obama. We are those that continue to defend affirmative action as a pool of black males candidates for both university and employment continue to shrink, partially due to the genocide of the black race in America, perpetuated by Planned Parenthood. And how can this first president of the United States stand with the organization as it continues crimes against humanity? Alright, so the reason why these other politicians, alright, so-called politicians, Jesse Jackson, alright, Al Sharpton, all these so-called black leaders, because they hand in hand with the so-called white man. They want to see you niggas dead just as much as the white man want to see you dead. Alright, but at the end of the day, the Most High is going to come and he's going to deliver his people, and all the ill practices that these crackers have been using against our people is going to be turned right around. It's going to be done right to him. The same way you have our babies being killed, we're going to have your babies being killed. Alright, but the only difference is, after 1,000 years of slavery, we are actually going to commit genocide and wipe you crackers off the face of the earth. Alright, so with that, I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, double honor to the elders at Great Millstone, and shalom to all you brothers out there, and death to America.